Good morning, guys. How are we doing? Hope you're good. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Borman. And if you are coming through, please do make sure you hit the love heart button. Please do make sure you comment that you're watching and where you're watching from. And please do share with someone that you think that might need this right now. So how are we doing? It is miserable out here. But we're all set up to ready to go on the show. Ready to do my morning routine and share that with you guys. So I want to talk today a little bit about squeezing more out of yourself. Okay, so one of the questions that I want to ask this morning to you guys is, are you coasting? And if so, what do you think the reasons are for you coasting? Like, if you looked at my school report, it would often say, could do much better if you tried harder. And that was always my school report, right? It was always a case of, it's got huge potential, but we just need to see a little bit more from him. That was pretty much my life until 20s, right? And I quite often saw it when I used to run my boot camp. So when I used to run that fitness class, I used to look at people and I used to literally micro-analyze what people were doing and how they were showing up, right? And I was looking at them and they were looking around to see if anyone else was looking. You know, see if they could get a little break and actually, you know, only show up at 65%. Rather than coming in and doing 100% and giving it the raw. Excuse me. And what they end up doing is I always go up to them at the end and go, do you think you pushed yourself tonight? Did you think you got the most out of what you came for? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I was like, I don't think you did. And we would always talk about raising that self-awareness of that, you know, you could have pushed harder. And those people that I often challenge were like, yeah, I just, like, it's hard to put the work in, right? It's hard to show up. It's hard to keep doing what you said you were going to do. And life sometimes completely consumes us. You know, I used to be consumed as a young lad just by chasing girls. Who wasn't, right? And I think, like, when people come in and they're working out, they're consumed by thoughts or stresses of the day and what's going on in their lives. And I often think about other people who are trying to improve themselves, like my lads in the mastermind and my lads in the 28 day. Sometimes we can get a little complacent. I can get a little complacent. And I think sometimes the reason could be is that sometimes maybe we forget why we're showing up, why we're trying to improve ourselves in the first place, right? We get so wrapped up in what we think are problems. We get so wrapped up in our own emotions. We get completely and utterly distracted from what the mission is, what we're trying to achieve. And when that happens, we tend to go 1% in the wrong direction. Now, I always talk about moving forwards 1% a day. Show up every single day, moving 1%, bam, 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 forever. And I truly believe that that's the way that you go, and you show up at 1% every single day forever, you end up changing the way that you live your life. Because along the way there's going to be big wins. But if we don't squeeze as much out of us as possible, if we don't reach our potential, if we're not showing up like we know that we should be showing up, we're in danger of becoming complacent. And complacency is the front door to going downhill. Going back to that alternative. I always talk about what's the alternative to you not showing up. What does that life look like? How does that make you feel? Can you remember that time that you were in the gutter, when you were in the rut, when you're in that mentality? Maybe you still are there now, but how can we get out of that? How can we strive forwards? Well, being complacent isn't the key. Now, the thing is, if I told you to jump and you just jump normally, and then I said, jump higher, I know you can jump higher, you would always jump higher. And why don't we always jump higher the first time? Why don't we give it our best effort the first time? And I think it's truly because we don't realise our potential. If I did that exercise for 5 or 6 jumps and I was really working you up and I was really getting you going, just like I used to in the boot camp, just like I used to be like, right guys, let's go, keep moving, sprinting harder, just like you do in my mastermind. The bollockings going out, start showing up, start getting your accountability in, start pushing yourself. Why do we need that to get to that next level and squeeze to that next level? And it is. We get lost. We forget what we're trying to achieve, I think, along the way. Sometimes we need encouragement. I often think to myself when I'm doing my work or I'm doing something, if so-and-so was here, would they be telling me to push harder? Would they be saying that's good enough? Is that to the standard that they would hold me accountable to? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with having accountability. You know, that's why we join our groups, our boot camps, our masterminds, our things, and that's what pushes us. That's what pushes us. Do you know what I mean? And I think there are other elements here, like confidence, self-belief, self-values, past experiences, and it ends up knocking us off our pedestal, and we end up going 1% in the wrong direction. So what I want us to think about is, next time you're doing something, next time you're immersing yourself in your planning or a run or showing up in your relationships or showing up in your career, I want you to think in your head, and this is like what I do. I'm always thinking, am I giving my best version of myself here? Am I showing up how I want to be showing up here? Or am I coasting? And the more that we do this, and the more conscious you become of doing this, the more it starts clicking in. And I can say that from experience, from myself and other people that I've worked with. But the more we keep saying, am I at the standard I should be? No. Alright, let's raise the game. The more you start showing up. The more it changes the game. The higher the standard that you set yourself. So there has to be that standard that you set for yourself. This is the standard. This is the minimum requirement that I want out of myself to be able to push forward. Okay, and that's what we need to start raising. You know, start raising that standard, start raising that status of ourselves, start connecting with why we're doing it, and start challenging yourself as well. Start challenging yourself. All right, guys, I hope that helps. It's just something, you know, in the mornings we just like to raise these points, get these things going, start getting the brain ticking, thinking forwards. Am I pushing as hard as I could do? If the answer is no, then maybe we should start doing something about it. Because we only get one chance here, right? We want to make the most. We want to fulfill our lives with happiness and passion and drive and direction to live the life we want to live, right? We don't want to be wallowing in complacency. We don't want to be wallowing looking for the perfect mentality. Oh, I'm just going to wait for this to be perfect, then I'll start showing up at my potential. Man, you get run over by a bus, you'd be dead, and then there is no chance of showing up, right? So, amigos, let's raise the bar. If we're here, let's raise it up. If we're right in the gutter, let's start getting out of the gutter. Let's stop feeling sorry for ourselves with the victim mentality and the what ifs and yada yada yada. All the BS that we give ourselves. So let's start raising the game. Let's start being champions of our own life. That championship mindset, bang, in every single thing that we do. That's how we can become conditioned, right? You do weights every single day, you're going to become buff eventually. Alright guys, have a great day. Catch you soon.